Today we're going to talk about the Bitcoin Gold hard fork and what happened last night and what's happening right now and what we think is going to happen moving forward. For better or for worse, Bitcoin Gold hard forked last night from Bitcoin. And for those of you wondering, this is a little bit sooner than October 25th. The October 25th date was just an estimate based off of the block at which this hard fork was set to happen. But obviously it happened a little bit faster because the blocks towards the end were mined very quickly. Anyway, so in terms of what we expected to have happen following the fork, it sort of happened, I guess. I mean, the thing is, we did get a sell-off, and that sell-off seems to be continuing right now as we speak, if this will load. So moving right into the hard fork, this is before it. This is the hour before it. And you can see that there was quite a bit of a sell-off before it because people started anticipating that everybody else was going to sell immediately after it. So some people were amazed at the thought that some people would sell before the hard fork. Well, we actually saw a little bit of trending down moving into that hard fork from $6,000 all the way down to roughly this 5,800 level. And then once the hard fork actually happened, we saw some immediate sell-off action that pushed us down to the 5,600s. However, when I really think about what price did following that, we really consolidated here in the 56 to 5,700 level. And this is nothing. I mean, this is a blip in the radar. If we go further back, you can see just how minor this particular fall was until we moved into just now. But before now, this fall was very insubstantial. It's still relatively insubstantial when you consider the run-up that we've had over the past 2 weeks or so. And when I first made the call that Bitcoin would correct following the hard fork, we were down at roughly this 4,800 level or so. And so I guess you could say I got it wrong. Because even though I said that it would correct following the hard fork, we're still much higher than we were when I originally made that call. Now, I did say that it was likely that it would move up going into the hard fork, so I guess I wasn't really wrong, but I didn't commit to that trade, and the reason I didn't commit to it personally was because I didn't like that there wasn't enough risk being factored into Bitcoin's price. I felt that, yes, it's likely that we're going to have this greater fool behavior going into the Bitcoin Gold hard fork, and that people were going to invest in it as a result of basically getting free money, right? But I wasn't comfortable with that being the pillar that was supporting the market. I really want a stronger pillar than that everybody expects free money, because they're just setting themselves up for disappointment. However, it seems like for the most part here, while it wasn't exactly free money, it wasn't exactly a loss of money either. Because if we look at Bitcoin here, let me go back to the 1 hour candles here. So if we look at this, right, this Bitcoin all the way back here, anything from this candle back, is Bitcoin plus Bitcoin Gold. Anything after this candle, so this candle to this through these candles, is just Bitcoin, right? So when we look at the market cap past this point, we really have to calculate in Bitcoin Gold. And I believe Bitcoin Gold futures are trading at somewhere between $200 to $300 at the time of making this. However, they are crashing. They're down 50%. Just last night, they were at $400, and now they're all the way down to $200, and I would not be surprised if they go even lower because everybody has very low expectations of this hard fork. What's interesting to note about all of this, though, is that the correction here, relatively speaking, is fairly minor. And so the question is, moving forward, what's going to happen next with Bitcoin? But I'm going to leave you on a little bit of a suspenseful note here because we're going to move into talking about altcoins for a little bit. And then towards the end of the video, we'll talk about Bitcoin here. But in terms of altcoins, they've done fairly well against Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and really just the entire market is up in US dollar terms, whereas Bitcoin is down. So obviously everything is doing even better against Bitcoin at the moment. So finally, we did get the cash flow back into altcoins, right? There was sort of that sector rotation. Now, what should be interesting moving forward is whether or not they go back to the levels they were, say, like 3 weeks ago, 2 to 3 weeks ago, when Bitcoin initially made its run upward towards $6,000. Because at the moment, even though I'm up quite a bit in dollar terms because Bitcoin is up and because my altcoins are starting to recover, they're still not back to where they were prior to the altcoin corrections that we were seeing. So for example, here we have ARK. I bought ARK between 55,000 to 65,000 Satoshi, right? So I'm still down on ARK. If we look at, if I can pull this up, if we look at waves here, you know, I bought waves back in the beginning of September, I want to say. I bought it at around 98,000 Satoshi, so I'm still down quite a bit on that particular investment. You know, obviously we can talk about Vertcoin here. I did not get back in. Some people were asking that question because if we go back to the 1 hour candles, you can see here that there was a moment yesterday morning where the price went down quite a bit. And this is actually fairly close to where I wanted to get back into Vertcoin. However, unfortunately, I was busy at this time and was not able to move Bitcoin over to Bittrex. And by the time I was able to do so, it had already recovered quite a bit. However, this was kind of where I wanted to buy it back at around the lower 40,000 Satoshi level. I'm not surprised that that got eaten up very quickly. And I just wanted to provide a quick clarity on the last video that I did where I talked about a painful lesson in FOMO investing. For those of you that were feeling that I was regretful or that I had doubts about my decision or anything like that, I want to be clear and say that I know that for me personally, maybe not objectively, but for me personally, I made the right decision. So there is no regrets, there is no feeling like I made the wrong decision, and I understand that I didn't actually lose thousands of dollars. I just went through that whole process to explain to you the emotions that I was feeling, despite the fact that I'm a relatively unemotional person when it comes to trading. I mean, I've been trading for a while, I've been investing for a while, I've had positions go down, 30%, 40% in a week. It's not a surprise to me. But it is, even though I've gone through that and I have the experience with that, there's still emotions associated with missing out on even stronger opportunities. There's still emotions associated with when you buy at the top and then, the price keeps going down. And you don't ever want to do a double whammy. That's the point of that video. Just for anybody that missed that point in terms of the video, when we had this particular day here where Vertcoin went all the way up to 80,000 Satoshi, there was a moment where I sold at roughly, where was it? At roughly 50,000 Satoshi, right? And I woke up the following morning and it was at 64,000 Satoshi. And I had the opportunity to buy there. See, what people seem to miss out here is that had I invested at 64,000 Satoshi, would I have really sold it at roughly 80,000? Or would I have been thinking at that point, this is going to go to 100,000, I'm not going to take the chance and sell it, and then I would have watched it come all the way back down and then crash. And then maybe I would have panic sold at where I originally sold at 50,000 Satoshi and say to myself, I knew I sold at the right point, right? So that's the point I want to say about the last video, where a lot of you seem to think that I made the wrong decision or that I should have only scaled out a part of my position, yada, yada, yada. I'm confident I made the right decision for me, right? So just wanted everybody to know I don't have any doubts there. Now, in terms of what we do moving forward with Bitcoin and how this whole thing's going to work out, this move downward was really a lot less than I expected. We were actually only just now starting to see it move a little bit more. The question really becomes, is Bitcoin going to go down even further? And I would not be surprised. I'm not going to take a huge bet on it like I did before, where I was talking about going into the hard fork. I was pretty certain that Bitcoin would go up going into the hard fork and that it would correct afterwards. But now that we're here, the question is, how much does it correct? And I was really expecting, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was expecting it to go below 5,000. And that's not FUD. I guess technically it is FUD, but I can't affect the price of Bitcoin. So don't worry for those of you who are long Bitcoin. this video is not going to influence it at all. And I'm not saying that it's likely to go below 5,000. That's just what I expected before going into this. And so this was sort of a disappointment in terms of the move downward, because honestly, I would have liked to have picked up Bitcoin at around somewhere in the 4,000s. But looking at it now, as to what's going to happen next, I mean, I suspect over the next maybe like week and a half or so, where people are just focused on the outcome of the Bitcoin Gold hard fork, we're probably going to see Bitcoin maybe trend downward a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we flirt with that $5,000 level. And then I suspect once all the hype for the Bitcoin 2x hard fork comes back in and people start investing for that Bitcoin 2x hard fork, then maybe we start seeing a rise again. But I would not be surprised if this time the correction comes much sharper and sooner before the hard fork. Again, it's really hard to say at the moment because the Bitcoin 2x hard fork is such a monumental hard fork relative to the Bitcoin Gold hard fork. But that was a lot of hard forks. Sorry about that. But anyway, the point is, we are in a market right now where it's tough to say what's going to happen next, because now we've had two major hard forks in the past, 3 months now? So the August 1st Bitcoin Cash hard fork, and then the Bitcoin Gold hard fork yesterday, or October 23rd, or October 24th, depending on where you live. And those two hard forks sort of had opposite reactions, right? Following the Bitcoin Cash hard fork, Bitcoin spiked. Following this hard fork, it corrected. Anything can happen with the Bitcoin 2x hard fork. I'm going to continue thinking about it. I'm going to continue evaluating my position. I will provide updates as I think of them and as I solidify my opinion of the markets. But for right now, the best I can say is that altcoins will continue to improve and probably do so for the next week and a half or so, at which point we may already start to see attention switch back to Bitcoin, moving for the November hard fork for Bitcoin 2x. So anyway, as usual, I hope you guys liked this video. Let me know your thoughts on the markets right now, and leave a like, comment, and subscription, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.